Ohio company towns here at Buckeye Furnace, Ohio. Sweating and fat. Here we are. This will be several videos, no doubt. So this is July 4th, 2025. I'm out here. There's hardly anybody else out here, which is good. Makes it easier for me. We're gonna hit a couple of places here. I'm not sure in what order, but we're gonna hit them. So over here you see the covered bridge. Let's go over here and see if this thing is Now, the thing that's keeping me away from going up in there is that you can't see, but that thing is practically one giant hive of various wasps. I can see all kinds of them dodging in and out of here. So, what that is, this is what it is. You have the dulcet tones of Bob Seger in the background. Turn the page. I think that's a nearby neighbor. And, that's some good taste in music, I guess. But here this is. I'll do the 360 around here, and then I want to see if I can go into the general store and film in there. But we'll see. Apparently this is supposed to be legitimate now, or at least mostly legitimate. And they moved it here because, modern, it wasn't made for modern times, and would eventually just been shaken to pieces by, just by modern use. So, yeah, there's that. Now, why would somebody have this thing here? Well, it meant a lot to the area, apparently, at one time. You can see some strange blocks here. These are probably maybe part of some of the old support or something. They dragged them out here too. But yeah, this is it. Now, I can't even imagine if this has anything to do with, the original covered bridge. I can't even imagine how many people have slept in that over the years. It's if you're out here raining in the mid 1800s, good rain or something like that, good snow, whatever the case may be, covered bridge like that is not only a form of transport over maybe an inconvenient or impassable obstruction at your time, and it's also a place you can break down in for the night or for a period of time so that you can move along when things turn out to be a little bit better. Usually associated with the New England states, so no doubt there's some kind of influence there as well. But it's a substantial structure, would have been, especially for a town that has such a flash in the pan, really, when you really get down to it. We'll go up here to this covered shelter. There's a bunch of stuff here. There's a guy over there in that car doing whatever across the street here, and then there's the Rolls Royce of rediscovery right there. We have a shelter area here. That's current shelter area, and let's see, go over here. Well, how about that, huh? Alright, so at this point I'm going to stop the video, go in there and see if I can actually tape while I'm inside. Because, you know, I'm courteous. Alright, so we're back. We got permission to come in here and film. So, I didn't realize that this place was actually kind of serious about stuff. There's too much stuff in here. Like, you know, generally I do a fairly painstaking run over everything because that's how I roll. But there's no way. I'd have to spend a couple hours in here, probably to really get do the place justice. So, as you can see at Keystone Furnace, they got a lot of stuff here that's not even related to Buckeye Furnace directly. This is still the July 4th, 2025. We're just a few minutes ahead of where we were. From the bridge, if I remember to put this all together in the correct order. So you can see some actual pig iron from the furnace. Yeah. Looks like some medieval medical equipment, but it's not. So, I imagine that's probably some era pottery. I found some of that in my backyard when I was a kid growing up in my company townhouse. Now, you may notice this right here. I'm going to try to. So this is either from the engagement in Jackson at the 53rd OVI site I've already covered at Diamond Town, or this is out there by Berlin, the Berlin Heights, Battle of Berlin Heights, which I've also already covered on this channel. But these are some cannonballs apparently from the Confederate side while they were down there whooping some ass. So this place got stuff from all over. But you really ought to come down here and see it yourself, because there's just no way that, I mean, there's just no way that this is one of these things that you're never going to get you'd never get what you really want out of stuff like this.
Hello. How are you? I'm well. How are you? I'm good. I can't tell you how many times we've been here. Yeah,
some people coming in.
Every Friday, Saturday, and Sunday from the beginning of May to the end.
Oh, yeah, we've been out here a lot in the cold house.
Oh, yeah.
This looks like some kind of teller window, probably to do at the general store here from the company town. This would be where your money went. Some transactions of some sort, anyway. So. You may be able to.
word in Southeast.
So, people may recognize this. I'm out there at Limestone Furnace. Smaller bits. I think this is the Buckeye Furnace when it was like legitimate, like the real deal right here. This is several of them. Some of these are just kind of drawings, but a little bit of regional history. Got the Oak Hill over here in Jefferson Furnace, which is now difficult to go see for a lot of people. But it helped with the USS Monitor back in the day. There's a piece of history here. I'm going to go down to Jefferson Furnace soon, but it'll have to be when colder weather so I don't end up fighting off snakes. There is kind of like a map, 1934, when the place had already been abandoned. This is Buckeye Furnace, 1880, past the glory days. Before the creation of Jackson Lake. Well, as you can see, they just got stuff here from just everything, everywhere. Here's the kind of the background of the place. There's a ladder going up there where you slide up and down to grab stuff. And people are much smaller. All kind of really stuff here to capture your eye. Most of this is when they have some, stuff here. Most of this is just consumer stuff out here, some geodes or whatever, sign-in book, and a whole bunch of different stuff. It really takes, and it'd take a couple hours to really do the place justice just in here. Which I didn't give myself. This must be from the Atlas. Those are all the roofed buildings that he knew of anyway. 1875 Atlas. Same one I've been referencing to a lot of my videos. Okay, so it is cooking. It is cooking. All right, so another area in the this is the general store, recreated general store on the same site. It had just fallen to pieces by the time the Ohio Historical Society, or Jackson Historical Society, I can't remember which. Sorry guys, don't one of them, Jackson Historical, Ohio Historical, came out here and bought it in the 70s. It'd been, and started this. Now it's been so long, and they've used, I imagine, as much of this stuff as they possibly could. They reused it just for practical economic concerns and reasons that now it is getting to be pretty. This floor looks. Floor would have to be at least a century, maybe more than that old, and it is. It's kind of rough in some spots. That is. Orange Raid right there. Okay, so they did get me. I did buy one of these shirts. This is mostly just a little shop though right in here. But this is what it was. This is the general store. This is the post office for about 15 years during the heyday of the place. And then after it was blown out in the late 1800s, it was abandoned and then officially taken over by the state or whatever in the 1930s. So along with a lot of other these old types of towns like Hope and various other towns here in this area. And then this place was bought and progressively bought over starting in the 70s over a period of many years. This was recreated and various other things. So now that we have got in here, and this is as close to the period as they possibly can with using what looks like the same floor. I imagine this floor is quite old. So anyway, we're going to go ahead and head up out of here, and we're going to go over to where a lot of the bachelors that used to work here, where they lived, supposedly. I don't know. We'll see. All right, Ohio Company Town's back here at the Buckeye Furnace historic site, managed by the Friends of the Buckeye Furnace of the Ohio History Connection. So I was wrong back there. I wasn't the Ohio Historical Society or the Jackson Historical Society. Just wrong all the way around. Well, look, I'll give you your money back. That's the general store we were just in, where that lady somehow talked me out of $17. I don't know how that happened, but she did. Watch out for her. She'll pick your pockets with her tongue. Rolls Royce of Rediscovery. I put it in the shade. Do it a little favor. Some wasps. All right, Hanging Rock region. Now this is going to be too much probably for you guys to see at one time, so let me flop you right here. And in my mouth. Charcoal iron production in Ohio was centered in the Hanging Rock region, a geographic area that extends from Hocking County to the Ohio River and includes portions of northern Kentucky. The region encompassed an 1,800 square mile area that was rich in deposits of iron ore and limestone, covered by forests that supplied the raw material for charcoal. Union Furnace, built in 1826, was the first to be located in the Hanging Rock region. 65 furnaces were located in this area by 1856, and Ohio Furnaces alone produced 105,500 tons of pig iron that year. The need for munitions during the Civil War increased the demand for iron produced by the Hanging Rock charcoal furnaces. After the Civil War, however, these furnaces fell on hard times. By the beginning of the 20th century, the once prosperous industry had all but disappeared. And the decline of hanging rock charcoal furnaces was a result of several changes that swept across the American iron industry during the second half of the 19th century. Coke as a fuel. The introduction of coke, a substance made by heating coal in the absence of air, provided a cheaper fuel than charcoal. Although Hanging Rock region had a supply of coal, it was not suitable for making coke, and furnaces in other areas that were much closer to coke supply could produce iron cheaper. Sizes of the furnace. After the Civil War, furnaces constructed in other iron-making regions were far larger than those in the Hanging Rock region. For example, in Wheeling, West Virginia, a coke-fired furnace built in 1878 produced 60 tons of pig iron each day as compared to 12 tons produced by Buckeye Furnace. One of the reasons the Hanging Rock region developed an iron industry was the availability of iron ore. In the 1840s, a major deposit of iron ore was discovered in the Lake Superior area. After the Civil War, this ore was mined and shipped economically to Pittsburgh and other iron-producing areas. With this development, the Hanging Rock region lost one of its natural advantages. The final decades of the 19th century were ones of radical change in the business world as men with great amounts of wealth built upon huge industrial empires. These wealthy individuals formed corporations that owned furnaces, rolling mills, and even factories that made finished products. In an area of integrated corporations where efficiency was key to successful failure, the small charcoal furnaces of the Hanging Rock region could not survive the competition. When Jefferson Furnace of Oak Hill closed on December 29th, 1916, the last of Ohio's charcoal furnaces went out of operation. Furnaces decayed, equipment was scrapped, communities disbanded, leaving only the bleak stone furnace stacks as reminders of these once thriving businesses. And right there's an outside toilet. All right, so I did bring with me some Gatorade water, and I'm going to need it because I've already probably lost about 3 pounds of water out here. There's approximately, this may be my death video, I don't know. I hope someone thinks to upload it. We'll see. But I have so much more to look at on this trip here that I'm glad I brought some, because otherwise I'd be getting a little bit parched. Buckeye Furnace, 1851 to 94. Buckeye Furnace is the second charcoal-fueled iron furnace to be built along Raccoon Creek. I think the other one was Keystone. The furnace, constructed in 1851 by Thomas Price, was financed by Newkirk Daniels and Company under the name of Buckeye Furnace Company. In its early years, during a 42-week blast period, Buckeye Furnace produced an average of 7.3 tons of iron daily. Later construction increased the height of the stone stack and raised the output of the furnace to 12 tons per day. In 1862, the company was sold to H.S. Bundy, who operated it for 2 years and then sold it to Terry, Austin and Company. In 1867, a group of Welshmen bought the company, ran the furnace until 1894 when operations ceased. Buckeye Furnace represents the transformation of the United States from a small agricultural nation to an industrial giant. Opening in 1851, the furnace used time-tested methods and technology. Buckeye Furnace closed in 1894 because the company could no longer produce the quantity of iron necessary to stay competitive with coke-fueled furnaces. Buckeye Furnace employed about 100 men at full production. They came from the eastern United States, England, Wales, and Germany. 40 of these men had jobs near or at the furnace and office. The rest worked in the surrounding area, mining iron ore and limestone, cutting down trees, hauling raw materials to the furnace, and the finished iron to the railroad. With their families, nearly 500 people lived in the area around the furnace. So, okay, Civil War. When the Civil War began in 1861, the industrial capacity of the northern states were more developed than the South. The Union's industrialization was essential to its victory over the Confederacy. Buckeye Furnace was one of the facilities that contributed to that power. Iron production gave the North a distinct advantage. the Hanging Rock Iron region of Ohio became the center of iron production because the quality of iron was superior to other irons. Furnaces like Buckeye Furnace converted area natural resources, iron ore, limestone, and charcoal, into iron. During the Civil War, demand for the region's iron became so immense that many iron masters loaded the iron onto wagons while the pigs were still hot. Iron at Buckeye Furnace, one of the 69 charcoal iron furnaces in the Hanging Rock region. I'm starting to cook, I can't talk anymore. Manufactured military hardware such as cannons, large mortars, rifle barrels, and armor plates. However, the iron produced at Buckeye Furnace also built steam engines for railroads and ships, rails for railroads, and armor for iron cast warships. Jefferson Furnace, located in southern Jackson County, is said to have cast the armor plates for the first ironclad Union vessel, the USS Monitor. Yep, and it is not being maintained at all, falling apart, and became part of Jackson Lake, or Lake Jackson, depending upon how you want to say it. See if there's anything over here other than me falling. No, doesn't look like it. Here's where they would have lived. This is the area, I guess, and then there is the location of the Iron Master's house. So, this is, where several people may have lived just in basic log cabins. So, that's the location of the Iron Master's house. Now you can see where there's some picnic parking and stuff. But here we are. This is the living area. That was the toilet slamming. This is a little deal right here. All right, so I'm going to try to get my ass up that hill to see what that plaque is up there and what it says. Now, from that white car, or whatever you want to call it, automobile right there, that gentle grade up, then with that plaque over there, moving on, I'm suggesting this is probably some kind of railroad path. And so we'll go up there and watch that, or read that, should I say. And I'll spare you the indignity of having to listen to me huff and puff to get there. So see you in a minute. Hall Company Town's back here across the street from where we were. Going up here. Now, if I don't fall here, I'll go here in the shade where I sweat slightly less. So, the Colorado people have taken off. They're leaving. Couldn't miss them. I mean, look at that. This looks like something you have like a car for an energy company or something. All right. So looks like there was a railroad presence possibly up through here. I don't know. It may have just be a path. But boy, I hope that wasn't a snake I just kicked. Okay, so let's see what's going on up this, what I believe to be an old rail bed. Get off me. Okay. So as you can see, okay, so I'm starting to get Madison Furnace level bugs here, so you're starting to piss me off. Now, okay, so that is Ohio Furnace, not this one. Buckeye Furnace, this one, the clapboard cabin. And then the Iron Master's house of all the furnace in Lawrence County, which is Ironton, basically. There's nothing else there. That's the location of the Iron Master's house here for this place. It is not original, but that's where it was. And that's where we just were. Okay, so because furnaces were often isolated, or often located in isolated areas, new communities usually spring up around them. Each church had a store, a church. Each community also had somebody that could read. Each community had a store, a church, a school, and dwellings to house the workers and their families. Each furnace had its own school and church. Generally, those buildings were log or simple frame constructions, although some of the larger furnace communities built more elaborate brick structures. Religion played an important role in the life of most furnace workers. The religious services were conducted at the community church were often so important that casting seldom occurred on Sundays. Social life in the isolated communities did not vary greatly from that of other small Ohio towns. Furnace workmen lived in small log houses located on plots of land that also contained several outbuildings. Families kept a milk cow and several pigs, so they cultivated garden plots that supplied fresh vegetables. The best constructed house in a furnace community was that of the Iron Master, who managed the operations of the furnace. This structure was much larger, grander, and better than the rest of the furnaces of the common workmen. Now, celebrations. Dances, traveling shows, and 4th of July celebrations were lively events in which most members of the community participated. One event unique to furnace communities was the annual bean dinner. That sounds fragrant. This event occurred each year when the furnace was closing for relining. The closing usually signified the end of a successful blast and brought temporary relief from the relentless work schedule imposed by the furnace. Everyone in the community gathered for a feast and hours of lively entertainment. Well, sure, you're sitting around there listening to each other's shit. I mean, who wouldn't want to do that in the 1800s? They didn't have nothing. You can't even get a newspaper back here, for God's sakes. Yeah, you know what? I'm going to see if I can fart some Mozart here because of this bean dinner. A bean dinner being something that people came to. Can you just imagine? Can you very well imagine? So you can see we're here. Let's see if I can get my magical finger here. Company, store, scale, stuff like that already went. Parking lot over here. Now we're here. This is here again. And then up and through there. No. I will probably come back to this place. As a matter of fact, I can just about guarantee you I will be back here in the winter. Because I'm going to walk this down through here. But right now, I just don't feel like getting ate up by bugs. And I'm getting ate up right here. And I can't even imagine going back in there where there's some significant cloud cover for quite a ways. But if you see the "You Are Here" dot, which I don't know how the hell you could miss it, with as prominently as I displayed it, you go down through here, and then here over here is the furnace. But, Jesus Christ. I hate wildlife. Anyhow, there you go. That's what's going on there. We're going to take a different route to get there, though, actually, because what I want to do, I'm going to first step into the shade so we can get a quick pan. Here, more than likely, this is probably an old railroad or some sort, like a spur track or something. Not like a CH&D, but like something they would make on site, so that they could transport things, and then it would also probably end up connecting to the spur track or the railroad itself, and everything. It's my guess, because of where this led, this is going to be above where the furnace is. We're not going to go to the furnace directly. The wonderful lady at the general store told us about the Buckeye Furnace graveyard. We're going to go ahead and go there and get that on the internet. and then we're going to go to the graveyard, and then I'm going to go home and do some work on my Moonville mushroom growing operation. And if I have any time left to enjoy the 4th at that point, I will. Now, and I will by drinking too much, let's be honest. So, but I'm going to dismount to the Rolls Royce of Rediscovery, and then we're going to pop over to the cemetery and see what kind of a depressing piece of shit that is. And we're back. Ohio Company Towns, of course. I'm going to say that 4 or 5 times in this video as I separate all this stuff up and split it up. Jesus Christ, son. Look at this. This is way out in the middle of nowhere. So now, from where we just were, I just drove down probably at least a couple of miles of road, and then pretty good bit of this gravel here to get here to what I believe, I hope, is the Buckeye Furnace Cemetery. Otherwise, I don't know what the hell's going on out here. There is nothing. I mean, this is remote. So we're getting to like Moonville. I mean, oh. Ho, 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 ho. Look at what I found. Now, sometimes things work out okay. Sometimes they don't. Either way, you go ahead and continue on. So, this used to come down here. That was a road. That was probably a railroad. Looked like there was a spur track or something. There may have been a passing siding or something like that down through here. This is posted private property. Looks like maybe some logging activity, or maybe just for electrical access over that way. Yeah, this is quite a ways away from what would have been the heart of the town. It is quite a trip, and when I now understand why that woman said that it is a lonely little place. It is indeed a lonely little place. This is just barely. All right, so I'm back. Somehow I managed to screw this up. But anyway, I think I just found some chanterelles. So I'm going to go back here. I'm going to pick them. And I'm going to double, triple confirm what they are. But I'm going to get them. I think that's what these are. I could be completely wrong. But we'll be back after this. No, I'm kidding. But yeah, actually I'm going to pick up some litter from out here. I think I see some stuff out that way. But do a little something to help out. Okay, so anyhow, I decided to go ahead and get some litter up real fast. Well, so as you can see, there is evidence abundant of unmarked burials. We'll go over here. Small spot. Human-sized depression. Right here. So, and there's looks like to be the grave of a unmarked small child beside it. So, and hell, even there's come out here and look. You can see, you can see how it is. This is a good sized tree. That's no doubt Company Day related. I've been there for a while. Might have been one of the early reasons why they had the place out here in the first place. Cleared this out up here up top. Here's some more human-sized depressions all over the place up here. There's not even probably anybody, there's probably not even any record of who was here. Makes you wonder what that was. I guess it could just be a rock. Human-sized depression. They're just all over. They are just all over. This place is just packed. Here we have a couple of little gravestones here. Child, couple children, of course. Most common victims of everything. More old trees. This kind of makes me think of the Moonville Cemetery. Haven't been there yet. There's bodies all around here. Matter of fact, this tree has displaced a couple of stones. Like one of them broke. Those are super old. They've been protected for a long time. They still both been, well, unless they were on the other side. Because usually they would grow something like this at the head of the grave, not the foot or somewhere in between. So I don't know. But it is what it is now. This probably broke by vandals. There's another one, crude. Another. These things all have some pretty good age on them, and they were basic. The Uniontown Cemetery, G-Town Cemetery, whatever it is. They had a lot better. There's just a lot more money out that way, apparently. So. 71 years. But this is it. This is the Buckeye Furnace Cemetery. I believe the first time on the internet. Woman said that it wasn't maintained as well as it usually has been here, which that's amazing. Because it seems like the place is just fine to me. Of course, you know, maybe she's got a higher aims than I do. Human-sized depression. And look at that. Looks like something from a Disney cartoon. You know there's some zany hijinks up in there. Matter of fact, I'm going to go there and see. Hell, who knows? Here and find a snake. Find a small treasure. You just never know. Yeah. Someone beat me to the treasure. Surprised I'm not finding more mushrooms out here. Okay, so I gotta go to the gym after this and then work on my mushrooms. Jesus Christ, son. Jesus. I am definitely planned out a very difficult day for myself here. Probably another headstone or something. A lot of these would have been pretty crude. You got to figure. You know, at one point, if they couldn't even get them a headstone, you got to figure, you got to know what you're dealing with here. Looks like a couple buried there or something. There's just so many of them out here. So it is so obvious. There's probably a collapsed headstone right there. That's definitely where a body was. There. This is weird. See if I can get snake bit over here. Conspicuously not mowed. Now, this over here has another tree of some age that's got a displaced deal over there. I don't know if maybe there's something I can't see over here, but there's some reason they don't want to mow that place. I don't know what's going on. Maybe it just jumped up like that. So, starting to get buggy down here. And I'm going to good sized older trees out this way. This was something else at some point. It's long gone, whatever it was. Now, interestingly enough, what we probably almost certainly will not be looking at today is where this is going. Because that looks like a path. That looks like a path to me. Could be a railroad path. And I'm seeing all kinds of bugs back in there just from here. So I have to wait for my winter exploration. I'll follow back through here. This is it, folks. The Buckeye Furnace. Graveyard of the Buckeye Furnace. Now, after having done all of this, we'll walk back here and get to the Rolls Royce of rediscovery, and we'll head on a good defendable position. We'll head out here and go to the Buckeye Furnace, actual furnace, and we'll see what we can see there. I've already got permission from the caretaker of this site that I'm free to do what I need to out here. So we will see. We'll see. Hopefully we will see a lot less bugs, because I'm kind of getting sick of this already. I got chewed up out there at Madison Furnace. I swear to Christ. And I had bumps all over my head for, all over my head. I look like an asteroid or something for probably a week. Just now healed up enough where I can go out here and make this treacherous little journey now and get dive bombed again. I'll tell you what, the sacrifices I make, totally unsung. Never noticed. But anyway, here you are. This is essentially what there is to see. Out here. So a few infested with ants. Another probable headstone. cut wood at some point for some reason. Here it is. There it was, whatever you want to put it. See if I can get my sorry ass out of here while maintaining the integrity of my car. I'm not sure. We will see. We will see. So on that note, I'll tell you what, here. We're going to run a foot race from here to the furnace. Go. Decided to go ahead and, we're literally about 10 feet from the furnace, or the cemetery we were just at. I want to show you how far back here this is from where the, one would assume the major part of the city, town, whatever, would have been located around that general store in the furnace and stuff like that. So we would have had that for sure. Now we're back onto paved road, and you can see we're back into civilization, as it were, out through here. Now look at this. We are out here in the fucking ridge now, bud. Look at this stuff. 1-lane road. It is well paved, but 1-lane road out through here, and it is a windy and small little thing. A couple of good guys there, and I just think about this. Here we are. This is where probably several members of your family would have been buried had you lived in this time period and out here. See, I'm hauling ass out here, and there right there is the general store where we were just at. Covered bridge. So, I mean, that's a pretty good ways away. So you know that no one would be screwing with them. Let's put it that way. We're now behind the. Go ahead and going around them. They're probably going to go up there and look at that thing I was just at. Here is the place where you can actually see it. It's the Iron Master's, the Iron Master's house. That was the caretaker's house. It's not the original, but it is what it is. So here is the furnace, and here is a parking spot. All right, now my goodness, I'll tell you what, hot as balls out here, folks. Satan's ass crack and all that. It is even this Rolls Royce can't keep me cool out here. My God. Glad the gym today is going to be an easy one. I'll be honest with you, after this, I don't really feel like doing much. I really don't. So, all right, now, shut. Interesting. Little path that way. Wonder what that was. Trying to step on a snake. All right. Wait a minute. There's something over there. Well, huh. Looks like the steps down there to the river have either been washed out and never repaired, or were destroyed and just tossed down that over that way. Or the creek, should I say, not a river. How about that? I thought that this would have been maybe like a railroad bridge or something like that. It came down through here, but no, it's down there just to. This is probably. So that's definitely modern construction right there. You can see that. There's just absolutely no doubt about it. But this is probably part of it back in the day before everything got so licentious and as a society. And you could come down here and see basically maybe the path that they used to get the water up here or something. I don't know. They would have had a tremendous amount of it, a need for a absolutely tremendous amount of it. Let there be no mistake. So, all right. Now, here we are at the Buckeye Furnace. Hear a slight echo. All right. We will do this methodically. Once again, I'll come back here during the winter. Much less likely to run into bees, ticks, and snakes out here. So, that's how it is. That wall back there, probably a retaining wall. All right, so on this side, be able to do more during winter. But of course, some people really do like to see everything all lit up in green. So, and I get bored or want to add some content to the channel or want to be out somewhere anyway. So why not go ahead and do this? You know, we're going to go up in the furnace now. Wonder if you can get up there to the engine house without having to walk that bug-laden bunch of shit to get there. Okay, so here we go down into what would have been probably area where they started casting it. I'm not sure though. We'll go over here and see. They got several plaques. All right, casting. We'll just do a quick little pan here on this. Okay, so casting. During the cast, 8 to 12 men were required to perform various jobs. Before, during, and after each cast, 7 basic steps were required. So it kind of shows you everything. All right, so number 1. Oh, okay. I think this is number 1. This kind of sucks. All right, I think this is number 1. All right, so workmen using wooden forms as a pattern made a series of molds in the sand floor of the cast house. Each mold was connected through a channel to a main runner that ended near the mouth of the furnace. When the furnace hearth filled with molten iron and slag, the air blast was stopped and the process of tapping begun. The tapping process began by draining off the slag. This was done by knocking out a clay plug at the top of the dam stone. This allowed the slag to drain down the furnace and collect in a large puddle on the left side of the work arch. After the slag was tapped, the clay plug was called the iron notch. At the bottom of the dam stone was removed and molten iron was allowed to flow into the molds that had been previously made in the cast house floor. While the hot iron was cooling, the pattern was formed by the molds and channels on the casting house floor resembled a sow nursing piglets. Because of this resemblance, the iron taken from the molds was referred to as pig iron. Each pig was 4 feet long, 4 inches wide, and 6 inches deep. When the iron had cooled, workmen used sledgehammers to separate each pig from the iron remaining in the connecting channels. The iron was loaded into wagons and carts for shipments to foundries where it was converted into iron products. While the slag was cooling, a heavy chain was attached to it. The other end of the chain was attached to a large slag wheel, and the entire mass dragged to the front of the casting house. Using sledgehammers, workmen broke the slag into small pieces and loaded it into wagons to transport the waste material to a refuse site, or it was used on roads, etc. That is the wheel that would drag it up here. So after the iron was drawn from the furnace, the dam stone was plugged, the air blast turned on, additional iron ore, limestone, and charcoal were added, and the cycle began again. And that's what occurred here. Now, all right, casting house with pig pads on the left and sleigh runners on the right, Jefferson Furnace, Jackson County. That's over by the Lake Jackson Lake. This is 1914. This was close to when it was over. Workmen separating the pig iron casting house, Olive Furnace, Lawrence County, and Ironton. That's the main town there. Okay, so this would be where they were casting some stuff here, probably in the sand and everything. Now, can't get up here, get in there because of a pretty good bit of stuff between us and them. But this is the furnace. If you've seen some of my other videos, you will no doubt notice, there's all kinds of little stuff carved in here. Okay. See if we can do this slightly this time. Okay, so here we go. So this is what it would have looked like. Keystone furnace, limestone furnace, stuff like that. Would have looked like, from the outside is this, then it, more like this than it does today. We've seen a sheet like that laying in there as well at Keystone Furnace. Even though that video is gone now, I'll have to go back out there and reshoot it during the winter. And we'll try to do it right this time. But it's been out there. That video was removed just because I made some elementary mistakes on it. And don't want that. I want proof of that around. But look at this. This is, this is it. I imagine it was gate or whatever separated up there so that the hot air would get out the fastest. That's just purely a theory of mine. So we'll go up here. This, I believe. Now, I can't imagine there's too many of these places around. I want to say about 12 or 15 years ago, I came out here on a date with a chick. But now, I wouldn't want to be held to that. I wouldn't want to be held to that. All right, here's the engine house. So, the conversion of iron ore into molten iron required very high temperatures. To raise the temperature, compressed air was pumped into the furnace. A steam engine located in this building provided the power needed to compress the air pumped into the furnace. The engine turned a 15-foot flywheel that operated two large blowing tubs. Blowing tubs, pistons located inside the blowing tubs forced the air into a pipe that carried the air to the upper level of the furnace. The air was heated by hot gases that came down from the furnace stack and piped into the furnace through two openings, or tewers, I think they're called, located either side of the furnace. So, all right, so we're going to go up in here, see what we can see. Yeah, like I was saying, I might have been here on a date. Matter of fact, now I can just about confirm, yes, I have. And matter of fact, she brought me out here because she knew I was a history nut. And, hold on a second. Okay, so she knew I was a history nut, so she brought me out here, and I can remember there were two guys sitting here talking right here where I'm flipping my light, sitting here talking about this place. A couple of guys who were interested in this for whatever reason. I'm going to do like a little pan around this entire deal here real quick, and then I'm going to see, can I open that door? No. Okay. I wonder what's going on out there. Yeah, it's just not kept up. Okay, so we can see here, doing a kind of the 360 of the room where it came in at. So here is the construction. There are wasps all over the place. You can probably even see some nests. So this is where that diagram that I just showed you in the engine room, this would be one of them. I don't know if this is original or not. I doubt it, but it could be. Either way, it was representative, or indeed probably even used at one point for what they were saying down there. So there we go. Okay, now well, I almost fell, and wait a minute. Ooh, shoot. I'm upsetting things here, I think. Might be easier to get to it over there. Let's see. Oh, yeah. Okay. All right, so we're going to go around the back of this thing. Yeah, it was a nice date. I appreciated it. Because you know how women, of course, they well, they try to get the most out of their money, we'll say. But I did think, hey, she's paying attention to me. That was interesting. Smells like piss back here. This would have been something, we've seen it at these other places, and these keystones or whatever are now, a lot of them are gone or they fell in. So that's why, partly why they look like that. Here's this. So we're way up there. That would have been a charging house we're seeing the underside of. I don't know if we can get up there from here. I don't think we can. I don't even know how much of a charging house there is. This is behind the spot where I said I wouldn't go. Well, looky here. My guess is that if I had to, just from the contour thing here, over about here, there is a path that went up that way. It would have been steep. There would have been a path that went up that way that would have went up to there, more than likely, or out that back door originally in the original structure would have went up there, because they would have had to have gotten up there like regularly. It just was there would have had to have been some way to get around this place. I'm thinking that's one of them. I'd say they probably had one on each side. You can see a piece of pipe up there. That might be, well, I don't know. Seems to me like that might be where some of that hot air came in at or something like that, and superheated the stuff. But this is the Buckeye Furnace. In as good a condition as you're going to see it. recreated largely. It is, you know, you can, I think some of these things are like here are some of the original, you know, original stuff. So, but this is it. Now, I have sporadically talked about some stuff. I want to go over here since we're getting near the end of this. I know, finally, you say. But, all right, so, come back out here. Rolls-Royce Discovery, rediscovery even. So, what do we know today? Well, we went all over this area and the easy parts to see. We've covered it. I will be back in the winter to knock a few places out here that I couldn't get to for one reason or another. So we will be back out here this summer, or excuse me, this winter. But yeah, so this way here would have been essentially would have employed several dozen men right here that would have in turn raised up several hundred people, many of them to adulthood, and created the land that we see right now. This is the foundational, you know, mid-settler type era, almost type thing, sort of. I'll call it. And this is what produced a bunch of people who produced a bunch of people who produced you and me. If you have some kind of deep ties in this area. So, yeah, this is another one of them places. The heart of the town, so much so that it was called Buckeye Furnace, Ohio. So, I'm going to walk down here. I've seen this huge tree. I'm just going to walk down here and see. Okay. So, yeah, this would have been, you know, probably a few hundred people. Not, you know, as far as around here in this area. To get out here, I had to go past Berlin Heights and stuff. So this is another one of these towns out through here, served by the railroad. More than likely CH&D, but I don't know. But it would seem likely. Now, but all of these little places are in about a, you know, like say an 8 or 10 mile stretch down like 327 or off of it. It's crazy how this actually goes. What's that? A little path down here too? Where am I seeing things? Maybe. But anyway, here it is from back a little ways. Oh, see, well, I keep referencing a video that no longer exists. Never mind. But there it is. So, little town, once upon a time. You know, people out here now where you can see that there's just nothing. Once again, people fell in love. They were born, they fell in love. They made more people, they died. Everything occurred out here in a space now that most people would suggest that there is likely to never have been anything ever at any time. And they would be wrong. And just like the impermanence of this place, so are our lives. Remember that, folks. And I'm sitting out here burning a few hours documenting this stuff and everything else like that. I hope at some point, hopefully while we're still alive, that some of the people, for the stuff that we're experiencing now, we have the foresight to start getting it down and making it in making durable records of it, and making sure that the truth of what the living is now, and the modes and the ways and the norms and the battles and the trends and everything are accurately preserved, because stuff like this just shows you that even though it may not be a whole lot of people, there will be people, and for a long, long time, that might be very interested in what you did where you were, even just being a normal person that no one knew about, cared about, or anything else, no record of ever even existing potentially. You know? And that's an opportunity that we have now. And I don't think it's being done well enough. I think that, look, I solidly believe in capitalism as, a generally more positive than negative force in the world in the grand scheme of things over a long enough time period. Don't get me wrong. But I think that the only things being retained now are they're is something for money, and I do believe that some things are more important than money, and that's why I only get one day off at a time, and everything. And that's why I'm out here probably burning a couple hours that I could be sitting at the house in air conditioning, doing this right here, trying to hopefully maybe be by some of this footage be used to educate the future about even this time in the past, even 200 years from now. Maybe it'll be me. But it's important that something happens out here. I mean, it's also important that the lives that we live today and we lead, and the things that give us life, animate us, that they are also maintained with perfect clarity, so that they can't be twisted and used against the future, or to be misremembered, or to have things used against them, against us. And we have that opportunity here. And on that note, folks, I'm going to get out of here, head directly to the gym. Those noises are leaves hitting the ground. That shows you how quiet it is out here. But I'm going to get out of here and head to the gym, get that one and done. And I'm going to work on my mushrooms and enjoy the 4th. On that note, folks, you have a good one.